Well,
what have you been playing?
So I went on a trip last week to see Capcom's upcoming lineup while I was out on assignment. To see a batch of games from them. I guess about 7 games in all. Some playable, some not. And yeah, they made a couple announcements.
What's up with Miami?
Yeah, I was in Miami.
How's that going?
It seemed kind of...
It was in Miami?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'd never been to Miami. Well, it's weird until you realize that they're like that people from all over the world are coming in. So they try to find a place that makes sense for multiple regions. So for the trip they did it in Hawaii last year. So the people flying in from Japan didn't have as long of a flight, but the people in Europe were screwed. So Miami, the people flying in from Europe do it okay. The people from Japan, end up traveling for 24 hours. Did you eat any
plantains?
No, I didn't. I have eaten plantains before.
Just not in Miami.
But just not in Miami. Miami was a little grimy.
It's dirty. It's dirty. Yeah. No offense, people I guess I've already lost that, but it's the humidity is the big thing that I always think of when I get, I just remember always getting out of a plane and then immediately just feel like I'm sweating.
Well, yeah, because you are.
Yeah.
And it was raining when we landed, so it was like hot rain, which I thought was fun.
That's just Mario crying.
Yeah. Okay. Hot Mario tears.
Yeah.
I don't know. Miami did not blow me away. Granted, I was pretty much staying near a conference center so we could see video games and didn't really get out to see much of anything else. So I didn't necessarily get all touristy and stuff. But we were staying right on A1A.
Beachfront Avenue?
Yeah. Now you know what the last 4 days of my life were like. Because looking at the sign and going, that's like that Vanilla Ice song. Great.
Were the girlies on standby?
No, well...
Were they waiting just to say hi?
Not to me,
okay.
But there was... So before we talk about games, the last night that I was there, the fire alarm went off at 3:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And you got out?
Yeah.
When that happens, no.
You just stay in your room?
Yeah.
Don't they do room checks?
No. Oh. This is like filling out census. It's one of those group communication things.
I've never had it happen in a hotel before, so I was super confused. So for starters, I was asleep. So I jump up and there's this, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
So the blinking strobe lights in the hall
for 20 seconds in the halls. Yeah, in the room, no. Okay. So it's just siren noise, and it's kind of in the direction of my laptop. So I'm like, is my laptop freaking out? Would I leave some kind of streaming audio on?
Time to go.
What's going on?
LA's or Miami waking up. There you go.
Yeah.
Air horns.
So then a voice came on and said, "There's a fire alarm. Whatever. You should get out of the building." So I decided I should put on some clothes, and then went, oh wait, I should probably get my phone, and oh wait, I should probably put on shoes, and then kind of stepped out of the hallway, and there were a bunch of people up and down the hallway kind of looking out, also unsure about what to do. And one guy was like, I don't know where the exit is. It's like, it's right, there's one right there.
It's on the door.
It's the one right there, one right there.
Don't they have the sign on the door?
Well, there were people there who were not from the United States, so not that, but it's
like
it's like that around the world. Anyway, it was 3:30 in the morning, so cut that guy some slack. So I decided I'm going to go downstairs. It turns out there's a nightclub in this place.
Cool.
Yeah, there is. It's Miami. Why wouldn't there be?
Which explains why through the entire trip, all I could hear was
Was it the sound machine?
Yeah, I believe the sound machine was there. Lisa and Colt also were playing. So I'm getting down there, and they're kind of getting people out of the club, and I'm just kind of standing there in shorts and a t-shirt and shoes, and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I walk up to one of the bouncers who's super confused to see me and isn't sure what to do. And I'm like, so we're evacuating? What should I do? He's like, stand over here. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I end up walking outside, and people are leaving the club and getting into cars and stuff. And it's just the worst people.
Did you have a teddy bear with you?
I did not. But I probably looked bad.
Yeah.
I probably looked like... I'd seen some better days or whatever, but so it's just a bunch of girls in tight dresses and really just
awesome
scummy looking dudes with fake tans and stuff getting out there. And there's a girl from Jersey with her friend talking to this guy who had what sounded like a fake French accent.
Yeah, puka beads.
And she asked him, your dancing's really good. What do they think you're dancing in Paris? And at that point, I was just like fucking losing it. Just like, is this even happening anymore? Like what is going on?
Another good dancer.
Like, that's practically what was coming out of this dude's mouth. And I was like, man, he's getting over. That's great. This is good for him.
Working I
don't necessarily believe that accent was for real, because it was pretty bad. And then I realized like no one else from this event is down there
because they were sleeping.
So apparently, as it turns out, some people were still out. There was like the last night there, a bunch of people went out for like karaoke or something.
But you were on assignment, so you had gone to bed.
I was on assignment.
Yeah.
So I did some writing and then and told myself like, oh, I'll get some stuff done because I had some paperwork I had to finish up, and then maybe I'll go meet guys later. And then instead, I laid down, and that was that.
Then Miami wouldn't let you sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you ain't sleeping.
Exactly. And then as it turns out, the alarm only went off on a couple of floors.
Oh, wow.
I don't...
See, this is what I just don't trust
so
alarms in hotels.
Yeah, I ended up standing out there for like 45 minutes.
Wow, really?
And started like freaking out, going like, man, I sure... No.
Nice.
I sure hope that like everyone else that came to this event isn't on fire somewhere. It's like, oh, I guess I'll have like hot exclusive scoops if they do. And it turns out most of them were still out, and then most of them were on floors that didn't have the fire alarm, I guess.
The hottest scoop.
That's right. Le hottest scoop. My dancing. You are very pretty girls, both of you. What about you? And he says, like, what about your friend? Or what about your friend? And referring to some other, there was two girls.
She doesn't speak Francais.
And the girl goes, forget about friends, this is Miami!
Like she had crane shot.
Kinda, yeah.
Threw some confetti up in the air.
Like it sounded like someone who had never been on vacation before. And was going to like sex their way through town as hard as possible. And then just these local dudes were going to put on fake French accents and just pick them off one by one all night, every night.
Fantastic. Let's go to Miami.
No, I think we also need to like have super gray hair and
I can't do that
and look like failure. That was the other big kind of archetype was old dude with girl that is way younger and hotter than he should have. There was a lot of that going around that place too. So yeah, it's just it was like this awesome, like group of people seeing video games, like interesting interesting stuff there, like just surrounded by just abject sadness. And I was just like, man, I'm really getting pulled in a lot of directions here, guys.
Let's go to Orlando.
Yeah.
So what'd you see?
That's it, really. I blew off all the other stuff. No,
went back to that club. It was a pretty good club.
Yeah, it was so Capcom made a couple of announcements. They finally just came out and said that they are going to do Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition for home consoles.
It's official.
It's official.
Wait, for home consoles?
Instead of just the arcade.
So there's now we're getting another
third version of Street Fighter 4.
I swear, why it's the 90s all over again.
Yeah.
This sounds crazy.
Well, so the good part this time is that they are going to offer it both ways. It'll be DLC for Super Street Fighter 4.
So no more $40 games that I got to pay for.
Provided you already own Super Street Fighter 4.
Okay,
so
great.
Like I said, they're doing it both ways. So you can pay $15 and get it as DLC, and that'll be like early June. I actually have it written down here. Got my notes. That'll be June 7th. And then if you want it on disc, they're going to just do the whole thing as a disc. I don't know what the pricing is for that, but that'll be like end of June, like 24th in Europe, 28th.
So what did I miss in the arcade version?
It's 4 more characters. It's Yun and Yang from Street Fighter 3, the twins, guy with the rollerblades and the guy with the skateboard, which I have never thought were good characters. So
you're selling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else were the other two?
Evil Ryu. And Oni, who is basically an eviler Akuma.
I was just going to say, I always thought Akuma was evil.
He's pretty evil, dude.
Yeah, so they added 2 more characters with Dragon Punches and the Raging Demon. And, it's, when we had Jared in here, I think he even said it, and it's something that I've kind of heard from a few different people, is that they've rebalanced the game in a lot of ways that people don't seem to be too into. So... there's that. They're also adding like new replay channel stuff. Like you'll be able to follow players and get all their replays sent to you directly. So if there's dudes that you really like watching fight, you can seek them out.
It's got a pretty decent. That's a pretty beefy roster at this point.
I think that's 39 characters now.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
So my 4 will still be there.
Yeah. I can still play 2.
Right. So they're doing that, and they also announced a game called Dragon's Dogma.
Okay.
Which you don't have it wrong. That is a bad name for a game. If you're sitting there going, what?
It's Kevin Smith's new fantasy series.
Dogma.
Right. Yeah.
Starring Sean Connery as the dragon.
Yeah.
Hello.
And this is going to be an action game from basically everyone who works at Capcom.
Everybody left.
That's the guys at the top are Devil May Cry guys like Kobayashi and Itsuno, who worked on
classic
DMC4,
Devil May Cry guys.
DMC4 and DMC3, I don't know. They say it's the largest team they've ever had working on a game, and it's an open world game, and it's an action game, but not necessarily crazy like a Devil May Cry combo system sort of way.
And it's fantasy.
Yes,
this is like
this
is like Lord of the Rings.
There are dragons. There are
swords
and bows and
magics.
3 classes: your mage, your fighter, and the strider.
It looked like a Western RPG. At least from its
we
look
watched
and
the
feel.
trailer,
From its look.
I don't know. It started getting
really?
It
looks like Japanese Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, or maybe like Japanese Oblivion.
But here's the way that I judge them: by the dragons that are in them. Like if the dragons, you either have like this very classic sort of Western style dragon that kind of look like what they had.
I judge that Hydra.
That
sick griffin.
Yeah, those are more.
There are a couple of things, but like there are a couple of tells that are like, oh, Japan. It's a lot of slow motion people grabbing at the camera.
Yeah, it's the
little midget gesture. Some of the body things like there's a lot of slow motion reaching at the camera. Like I'm gonna grab this thing that's out of focus. Like
falling, but he's falling at the same time.
Final Fantasy, and then there's the rock and guitar solos.
Yeah, rock in
the middle
when you
of
throw fireballs.
Wow, where did you come from? Japan?
Yeah.
All right.
Japan. Yeah. So it looks it's Capcom's been doing a lot of games with Western developers. This is not one of them. This just seems like them attempting to make a more Western type of fantasy action game.
Cool. Great.
And it seems like it could go multiple ways. It could be, like I said, it could be like Japanese Oblivion, or it's third person, so it could be like the Kingdoms of Amalur game that Big Huge is working on. Yeah,
they're copying from the Germans this time.
Yeah, or it could be like single player Monster Hunter, because you're going to be rolling with 3 AI dudes that you can give like a few commands to.
Yeah, that's kind of my bigger worries, that like this is going to be a single player MMO style with like the narrative not being super tight, and that I don't know what it is about like some Japanese, let's just say medieval / fantasy stuff. It always something real loose about a lot of that stuff.
And they didn't really have a lot of great firm answers about how you'd be getting quests and how that sort of stuff would be working. Instead, it was like they seemed very excited that it was open world, and was like, you'll see a monster in the mountains and you can go fight him. I'm like, okay, all right. Cool.
Can I capture?
Why? like how do I? They wouldn't really say if there was a dialogue system or what it was going to be like. They didn't seem to want to go too in depth about that stuff. It's out next year. I will say that they had a kind of a brief playable version there where you fought that griffin. It's in the trailer, and I think that tells a better tale. Like hearing them describe it and playing it is more interesting than the trailers they put out. The trailers, I think, kind of sell it a little short scope-wise.
I mean, from an action perspective, that trailer didn't necessarily look like a Devil May Cry style.
It's definitely not that kind of combo-driven, crazy game. But at the same time, like it's not going to have deep RPG elements or anything. You're not going to have like magic points. it's going to be like recharging stamina bar that governs when you can use your abilities or whatever.
Well, from the trailer that we saw before, it looked like a lot of strafing and popping off arrows around, like locking onto a target.
Yeah,
and,
they showed a lot. That's the Strider class, the Ranger, basically. So
firing off a bunch of
arrows.
arrows.
A lot of arrow stuff in that, I guess.
One dude climbed on a griffin.
Yeah, so basically, like they have like the
neck.
trigger button, the right trigger or R2 is mapped to grab. And you can use that to just pick up dudes. So they'll be like goblins. You can just pick them up and throw them at other goblins. Or, yeah, when you're fighting the griffin, you can just grab onto the griffin, crawl up onto his back, and start stabbing him, which was pretty satisfying.
Yeah, well, because he was still flying.
Yeah, he was still flying around and kind of trying to get away. It's kind of satisfying in that like Shadow of the Colossus sort of way of here's this big thing that I'm ripping up.
Yeah, like it's kind of sad in a way. I don't know what that griffin.
Whatever that griffin was on the attack, man.
Griffins are normally fairly friendly.
Not this one.
Well, you're like a WoW griffin.
Well, griffins are, I don't know.
I don't know too much about it.
How do you
They're like, because they look like eagles.
How do you think griffin should be spelled?
Gryphon. Yeah. Why? How are they spelling it?
Griffin.
What?
That might just be
That's like a
translation in progress or
that's
something.
like a fancy guy that lives in Bel Air.
Right.
Like,
Yo, Griffin!
Yeah, Griffin!
I mean, Benton Griffin.
Yeah. Talk to my friend Griff. DJ Griff.
The crime dog.
Yeah. What is he, McGruff?
Yeah. Same thing.
Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
Apostrophe S.
Yes, apostrophe S,
Okay.
not S.
And a dragon speaks to you through his heart?
Yes, a dragon speaks. Yes. A dragon calls out to you and you do quests for a dragon.
Okay. And it's not Sean Connery.
I don't think it's Sean Connery.
Oh,
no.
all right.
They haven't really said anything
Neither
about
confirmed.
that.
You didn't ask.
Yeah.
I hope he's like an evil dragon. Like, I want one that like just wants to hoard gold. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
So I guess the reason for the name is that the dragon is going to be teaching you its dogma.
What is it? What?
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
So you will learn how to hoard gold?
I guess, yeah.
What you gotta do, son. You gotta get yours.
You gotta get yours. And then
Do you want to?
You gotta get a treasure pile, then get a princess. Put the princess on top of the treasure pile.
Be a bunch
You sleep in front of the treasure pile. Anyone comes up on it.
There's a bunch of sharks out there trying to get what you got. You gotta be ready.
Do you want to retire young? You need yourself a treasure pile.
Oh man. What else? Dead Rising 2, off the record. I can't tell you about it. It's off the record.
Tell me about it.
So that one you do need a special hat.
I'll tell you about it, but you can't write anything about it. This is all
Is
off
it
the
embargoed?
record.
This is off the record.
This is off the record.
It's off the record.
It's
All
off
right,
the record.
hold on a second. I just turned off my voice recorder.
Okay, great.
All right, tell me about
So
this.
what if Dead Rising 2 had Frank West in it instead of
Turn
Chuck
it back
Green?
on.
What was that? What?
What? I'm sorry, you said what?
What if you played as Frank West instead of Chuck Green in Dead Rising 2?
That would probably be slightly different, but probably a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Would I still be picking up weird weapons and hitting
Yes,
zombies?
there will be new combo weapons in the game. So it's basically exactly as it sounds. It's the events of Dead Rising 2, but kind of spun off in a different direction because you're playing as a different guy. This is a game that is going to be on disc. This is not. I know you're sitting there going, "Oh, well, it's a DLC add-on."
Yeah.
No, this is a separate product that they originally started as a Dead Rising 2 director's cut, and then decided, well, what if we put Frank West in it?
So does that mean the director actually wanted to put Frank West in it the entire time?
Yeah.
Who can say?
Just make your fucking get fine. All right, then.
Player 2 will play as Chuck Green in the co-op.
Really?
Yeah.
So the big difference I saw was the opening scene is no longer motorcycle race.
Yeah,
it is now like wrestling, backyard
It's now,
wrestling.
Frank West in a
unitard.
In a unitard, wrestling zombies, doing spinning lariats.
And he's big.
He's packed on some weight. So basically, the story is that he's fallen on hard times. He out of the Willamette incident, he became a big hero, and basically did a bunch of bad endorsement deals.
Should listen to the dragon.
He's basically like a reality TV star or something at this point, or something like that. And they make jokes at the beginning that he's hawking like baldness remedies now. So he's kind of come back on the show as a means to kickstart his career. But then he catches that TK guy basically
doing bad stuff,
like almost immediately. He takes out his camera, starts taking shots,
and then he's in it.
So
So I said, when you said that, no more than a couple of hours ago, I said, well, the only thing that would make me excited about this is if there's Frank West saying, here's what I would have done. And that's exactly how that trailer opened.
That's exactly what the trailer is.
And so I was kind of back on board because the only way that sounds interesting to me is if it's like ridiculous and it's like his version, not a developer or designer saying here's what would have happened with Frank West in the game. It's Frank West being like, here's what would have happened with Frank West in the game.
I want it to be a weird dream scenario where like every time he looks in the mirror he is not Frank West and he like can't figure it out. Like give me like some weird plot story.
Yeah. Well, like every time he looks in the mirror maybe he looks awesome. He's like super skinny and buff.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm fucking kicking ass. So I hope it's different enough, and I hope it's. I mean, that's a pretty quirky series.
Yeah.
So I hope they embrace that in this altered reality.
Yeah. Well, like I said, photography is back, so you can get PP by taking pictures.
Naughty, sexy.
Yeah. Or there's erotica and horror and all that same stuff. And the story will unfold differently, and it'll probably skew off in some different directions. They said that there is one new area in the game that is not a mall or a casino. I don't know what it would be, but
Terror is Reality Playground.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a Miami hotel.
Yep.
It's a Miami hotel with a fire alarm constantly going off.
So did they give any sort of like pricing or
not that I've
details?
Not that I've seen, yeah. I imagine that maybe after they record this, they will put out some text release or something that might say. But so far, it's that trailer and some other stuff.
Capcom has a pretty good track record, though, of not pricing their stuff when they do these kind of things. They seem to be.
Well, recently they do with Super Street Fighter 4 making that $40. So.
But all their PC game stuff too, like Dead Rising was. Yeah. I mean, almost everything
Still
Capcom
50?
on PC was $40.
Oh, right.
And this will be coming to the PC as well. Speaking of which, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition will be coming to the PC.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't put out regular Super there, but they are going to do it. So yeah, I don't know. It's they say that they're taking the feedback into consideration based on reviews and stuff from Dead Rising 2. So I did say,
okay.
So I straight up asked, "Will you be able to drop off survivors by just walking near the room?"
All right.
And he seemed to not. Like, we're not talking about that right now. It's kind of how a lot of that.
Because that's what Frank West would do. Frank West would kick him down.
You'll be fine.
Well, like wasn't it in Case West? You just found the dudes and they ran off on their own, right?
That's what Brad said. I hadn't made it through it yet.
Yeah. So maybe they'll do that, and you won't have to escort anybody back at all,
just
right?
give them your blessing and be like,
all right, go.
You've got a lot of health.
Yeah,
just run.
Just high five.
They're just after me. Yeah. Once you get out of this zone, I don't even care what happens.
Right. So yeah, it's. From what I've seen and from hearing them describe it, it just seems like a tough sell. It's like, here's this game, and they played like the first 15 minutes of it, and it's like, yeah, there's the steps that lead out of the Terror's Reality Arena, and I know if I go right beyond that door, there's gonna be that little kiosk, and maybe that girl will be up there with the gun.
But I would,
it's.
If you told me that they took Dead Rising 2 and they refined, they said, okay, we needed to make Dead Rising 2 this way. Now we don't really have to make it anyway. And they took it and they were like, we're just gonna have fun with it. You can let the survivors go off. That's fun. There's the missions are a little looser and like just sandbox it up. Here are these broken weapons that just make you totally invincible. I'd be down for that.
And you start out a little more powerful too.
And increase the speed by about 25%.
Yeah, everything is just kind of more arcadey and less like taking itself seriously. I could be down for like some real goofy Dead Rising 2 fun
maybe
in that universe for $40.
But like in that universe, yes. In that same environment, like that's where it becomes a stretch to me. Where I'm like, okay, I already know like this area. Like I don't want to go through it again.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of.
It's all about the weapons. It's like I think it's literally if they
and I don't think the story is good enough to necessarily want to see it unfold in a like slightly different
altered way.
But yeah, it will have new combo weapons, so there will be that.
If maybe they'll have a universal chest where you can like leave your weapons in there. Like that's what I'm saying. If they go in there, and it's like
that's not going to like if they just fix the stuff that was busted about Dead Rising 2, then it's like, well, you should have put out this game the first time.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Why? All right. Well,
that's like a really
right.
Do you remember
that
really
masochistic way to look at business if you're like, oh yeah, I'll totally give you another $40 to $60
Try it again
for a refined version of this game that I already bought. Like it's kind of messed up.
It's kind of messed up.
It's kind of messed up.
I feel the Dead Rising games, you pretty much just go in, like everybody gets that high when they get into it, and they're like, they spend about 12 hours or something, and they're like, man, this game's great, and then it just dogs on you, and you just can't.
It's a grind. It becomes a bit of a grind. Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's messed up. I'm saying the only thing that might make it slightly appealing is like,
I mean, I see that there is some kind of appeal
there. Because goddamn, if they
and
left all that stuff the same and just told me I was using Frank West, like, man, no way. Like,
right.
If it was just a reskin with some extra voice work and then like slightly different encounters, I can't go through all that combo weapon stuff and the bringing survivors back in those load times. I can't do it.
The one thing they did come out and say directly is that the load times will be better.
Still, can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, you got to give me a little more something.
Yeah.
Maybe Frank West just shoots all the survivors.
It needs
nobody to tell the tale.
How do you look safe? Crack.
I want that game to mix.
I
want that game to mix with Alan Wake. Give me the fun of Dead Rising and kind of like that story kind of driven stuff from Alan Wake, the weirdness. Like if you gave me that in a Dead Rising game, I would love it. But like it's like you can't get both out of a game for some reason. You can't get, the running around with the flashlight like that. Remember how boring that got in that game and the real closed off type stuff. But
see, I want giant beam weapons in Dead Rising 2. Like I want to just turn on a giant thing and like basically evaporate everything in my
You
path.
want more sandbox, less.
Yeah, I want more like Red Faction like style craziness in there. I want to topple a building on top of like zombies because that's the weapons breaking and stuff. That's kind of annoying. Like I want to be able to just carve a path through zombies, especially if I'm basically giving you $40 to make me go back into this game. Or 60.
We don't know what they're selling
or 80,
it for.
Who knows?
So, it'll probably be $80.
Yeah, if I'm giving you more money to have the same experience, like basically you should just give me developer console in that game at that point. Just do what you want.
Yeah. Spawn more exploding barrels.
Yeah. Spawn more overlords.
Yes.
Anyway, what else did you see?
What else? Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Okay.
Which is the Street Fighter versus Tekken game.
Did they say how many characters would be in that? Is it going to have all the dudes?
So they showed 10, which is like a pretty good first look to already have 10 characters.
Is it your basic 8 and some other like Bison or something in there?
It's 5 and 5 right now.
From
10 each side. So they want to announce characters in pairs, and have them kind of match up in a way. So like Ryu and Kazuya kind of pair off.
Oh, the dragon and the demon.
Yeah, okay. the devil.
Okay.
Come on.
Sorry,
don't be.
My Dogma's messed up.
Yeah. So they kind of showed characters kind of with their partners or whatever. You can picture like Marduk being kind of the grapply guy pairing off with like Abel, who's in the game. But they showed Chun-Li and Bob, and they didn't have partners for them. I expect that Chun-Li will be partnered with Lei from Tekken, who was also a cop.
Yeah,
that's my guess. That's my guess. And Bob, probably Rufus, because they're both fat.
Who's King partnered with?
Guile, I think. If the positions on the character select screen are
indicative
of how they're doing it, then it's Ken and Nina. I mean, not that you have to pick them that way. It's just that they're trying to like match the characters up in some meaningful way.
So was it playable?
It's playable, yeah, very playable.
Okay.
But it's very early as well. It's a tag game, so you're picking 2 characters each and going.
And they could be.
Yeah, you pick any 2 you want. Yeah, and it's the Street Fighter 4 engine. Like, so at its core, if you're playing as the Street Fighter guys, the game feels crazy. Like, I went back to play some Street Fighter 4 after this and kind of couldn't.
Is it much slower?
The jumps are slower. They're not like Tekken floaty or anything weird like that. But the game also has tons of juggles in it. Like a lot of stuff juggles like Tekken style. So
just uppercutting dudes across the screen.
Yeah, like uppercutting guys, then walking up and punching them as they're coming down and uppercutting them again. And then, at some point it like prevents you from just like uppercutting them over and over again.
Right.
Like it doesn't let you do that crazy stuff. But
can you kick dudes on the ground?
Nah, I don't know.
Okay.
I think you probably will be able to, if I had to guess. But it does have the Tekken like roll forward to get up, so you kind of roll out of the corner past a guy to stand up. So like at its most basic form, it feels like someone took Street Fighter 4 and like attached a game genie to it and said you can just hit him anytime and just like turned on juggles.
Rainbow Street Fighter 4.
Yeah. So like with that in mind, like it's already really crazy just being able to catch guys as they're coming down and all kinds of crazy juggle stuff. That was just a lot of fun just to figure that stuff out.
And then both sides can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Right.
Okay. It's just the system.
Yeah. That's how it is. And then the Tekken characters actually feel dramatically different from the Street Fighter guys.
Weird.
But still, they feel like Tekken characters, like more than I would have expected. They don't just. It's not just like, oh, he throws fireball. It's not just like we gave him 3 special moves, go. If you use the light and medium attacks, you can actually kind of bang out some basic Tekken combos with them, like they were the left-right punch, left-right kick.
Huh.
But it does use the full 6 buttons. And they have some special moves as well.
They don't have projectiles, right?
No.
So how do you close in?
That's kind of the tough part, and that's where it definitely seems very early. Some characters could kind of do like a ducking lunge that would get them under projectiles. So you kind of use that to close the
jumps,
gap.
man. Floaty jumps.
Yeah, or jump over them. Yeah, and there's some other interesting stuff in there. Like each character has one move that can be held. So like if you do a sonic boom and hold down the punch button on it, he goes into the animation. Like he pulls back his arms, and then we'll just sit there and kind of charge it up. So if you hold down the button for, I don't know, a couple of seconds or something, it becomes the EX version of the move. If you keep holding it down, eventually it does a super. And in both cases, it doesn't use any of your meter.
Oh.
So if you can charge it up, you can do it without using any meter.
You can't do anything else.
Or if you have full meter, right, you're just stuck there.
And there were supers?
Yeah. And even the Tekken characters have supers, which look pretty cool. Like Kazuya will eventually get you up in the air. I think that's even in the trailer. He'll get you up in the air and then shoot like devil eye laser at you while you're up there.
There's your eye laser.
There's your one projectile in Tekken is
the eye laser.
Is the eye laser.
Gosh.
But he seems to only do it as part of a super. It seems like it has a long way to go. Like the characters seem like they were missing a few moves in some cases, and you can't do 10 strings, which I wonder if that'll be in there or if that'll just be too much. But it seems really cool.
Can Nina grab dudes and just pretty much counter everything that's thrown at her?
Kinda.
Wow, really?
I mean,
lock them up and then get them on the ground and break their arms.
I want to grab a fireball.
It didn't have that stuff. It
like
didn't.
The grapple.
It didn't have the arm break throw in there. But whenever you do throws, it actually zooms in like a Tekken game would, even with the Street Fighter guys, which I thought was kind of cool. And she's got like the left right double punch kind of combo in there.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Kazuya's got his dragon punch equivalent, but you don't do it the same way because you don't do it the same way in Tekken. It's like that weird. I don't know if you've ever seen like Tekken notation, but it's like forward, neutral, down.
I printed
down,
it all out
forward.
at one point. Yeah, big binder.
So you do them that way. Like you know, obviously like the Ken Dragon Punch and all that stuff comes out the exact same way, but it's the motion is slightly different for his, which it's showing an attention to detail that I think is appropriate. And
so this is Capcom or Street Fighter. Cross or whatever.
Cross, yeah.
Which is really big in the logo.
The cross?
Yeah, it's giant.
Is there a Tekken Cross Street Fighter in the works?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Namco's game. And the interesting thing I found out is that they have no input on each other's game.
You just make your game, we'll make ours?
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't come out. We're going to make a game.
It sounds like the release of these trailers today is going to be that might be the first time that the guys at Namco realize which Tekken characters are going to be in the game.
So they said, "Here's our roster.
Yeah, here's your roster. Go." Which seems like a cool way to do it if that's actually true. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but
it sounds a little crazy to me.
They might just say like, "Oh yeah, we're putting Bob in it."
Unless that was the only way to do it after like years of like back, like no. Tell you what, you just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll do what we need to do.
We'll see who sells more.
Yeah, you go make a game.
Yeah.
Well, ours is gonna be. We're gonna have the most awesome story in our Tekken one. Ken's running a business with a fucking panda bear. He's a cyborg.
That's kind of like the thing I'd be most looking forward to out of Namco's game is them making crazy Tekken endings for Street Fighter characters.
Well, there was even the weird Servbot heads that were
the stage stuff.
Yeah, that
fight in front of dinosaurs.
So it already looked kind of weird.
Yeah, those are the two stages they were showing. Is there's the Servbot stage and the
Jurassic Park
dinosaur stage, which I don't know if that's supposed to be like Dino Crisis or what the hell's going on. But
I just kept waiting for Sam Neill to pop up, start hugging some kids,
say Toasty,
yeah.
Clever girl.
So that's probably the most like interesting thing that they had to show was Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I think that looks really cool. They were also showing Asura's Wrath.
That game looks bananas.
From CyberConnect 2.
You didn't even do like air quotes or anything. They were showing. Tell me what they showed.
Well, they showed a trailer, which you can find on the site right now, and then they played that sequence as well.
And so, how do you play it?
It's kind of like
because the trailer looks.
So it looks like it's Dragon's Lair. It looks like it's a bunch of QuickTime events.
Because the guy's going to push his finger
in a couple of cases, they showed like controller motions on screen, like you need to separate the two analog sticks.
So
now,
like
and you need to do
so
this.
heavy rainy.
No, not even like that. Like just it almost looked like a cutscene is unfolding, and you need to hit these buttons to keep the cutscene moving. Is sort of how it looked to me. There's one part where you're kind of flying out of the sky to land on this like guy who's bigger than the planet that he is attacking. And it looked like you maybe had some control there. They didn't necessarily do
direct control.
Yeah, it didn't look like you had a ton of direct control. But watch that trailer. The game looks like that. The game is that.
It looks like Bayonetta's having a fever dream. Like
yeah,
she's kind of gone crazy. Like, you okay? I had a crazy dream.
I had a crazy dream. There was this giant guy, and his finger wanted to crush me under his finger, and then all of a sudden I had 6 arms.
But then they all exploded.
And then the arms exploded. I lost 5 of my arms by punching his finger.
So the big thing that I saw that was like the constant of the new Capcom stuff was there was lots of like I don't know what you'd call it, like skin shelling. Let's call it skin shelling. Okay, where like you're.
Like
you
shedding a skin?
Yeah, and somehow like you lose, a shell of your skin. Yeah.
But it breaks off like stone or something.
It does, but then like it's revealed underneath, it's like the same thing underneath.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what was going on, but it was a constant.
Yeah, in that Tekken trailer, I think it's just because all the Street Fighter 4 trailers had that kind of ink style. They wanted a watery style for this one. So it's like the shells become water as they're cracking off of their faces.
But why did he lose his face and then he had the same face underneath?
He punched hard, and it was just a layer of sweat that was cracking off.
And when he punched that big finger, and then like he just lost a shell around his hand, it was the same thing.
But all the hands blew up too.
Yeah, they eventually blew up like after loss of shells.
I agree. It wasn't clear whether...
It's just weird.
It's just rage.
Oh, Japan.
Yeah. And then a guitar solo broke out.
That's right.
Well, that sounds like a kind of crazy trip. Capcom.
Yeah, and then a pair of Resident Evil games. Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D for the 3DS, which is Mercenaries, but it's in 3D, and it's on a 3DS. And they've got like a skill system, and you can play as Hunk.
And you can move and shoot.
You can move and shoot, yeah. And then Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, which is the third-person shooter from the developers of SOCOM Confrontation, and it looks a lot like a game that the developers of SOCOM Confrontation would make, but there are zombies. And it's like 4-on-4 online.
4-on-4,
yeah. So it's kind of like tactical. Like you pick a character class and you get skills like active camouflage or. The medic character can shoot an adrenaline dart that kind of slows down time.
Active camouflage.
Yeah, like Predator invisibility stuff.
Like in Resident
Evil.
Means
like you can move, right?
Yeah, because you're playing as like Umbrella Special Forces versus
so
like Delta Force or something.
Right.
And then Leon Kennedy is there. Like one of the missions.
A referee in like a ref shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like one of the missions is like the Umbrella guys have to find Leon Kennedy and kill him. And I think that the other team has to prevent that from happening, or maybe it's just in the single player. It wasn't really clear. And then there are zombies.
Also,
there are zombies.
God damn it!
And BOWs, bioorganic weapons.
Bow.
Which is like Tyrant, or not? What? Not.
But Nemesis.
Gotta go to the notes. Did not see Nemesis. Dude, I need to look at my notes because I actually don't know what anything Resident Evil is named.
The bow.
The liquors?
Definitely did not see any liquors.
I'm running out here too. Zombies?
Tyrant and a hunter. A hunter will kind of appear and hunt the top player. There are herbs.
Are there typewriter ribbons?
I didn't see any.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know how am I going to save my game.
Any. But it looks like in the single player missions, it almost looked like there were Left 4 Dead style safe houses where it's like, here's a room full of herbs and ammo. All right, go on.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Here's this boss fountain.
Yeah. And in my notes here, as you can see, the first thing I wrote down, zombies.
Oh, okay.
And the second thing you see here, SOCOM.
So zombie SOCOM.
Zombie SOCOM.
Okay.
And then the character classes have names like Vector and Beltway.
Okay.
Yeah, that looked interesting.
Yeah, it sounds a little different.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's from the typical Resident Evil thing.
Is there a date on that? Talking about that kind of.
I want to say that's late. That's coming this year. That's a fall release.
And Super is this year.
Arcade edition.
Yeah,
you
arcade
mean?
edition.
Yeah, that's June. So
okay.
that's coming.
So is most
soon.
of that stuff this year? I mean,
Dragon's Dogma is 2012.
Okay.
And I don't know that they have a date for Street Fighter Cross Tekken yet, but I would imagine that would be. I would hope that would be this year. Whatever. They put out their fighting games in the first quarter of the year. That's how Street Fighter 4 has been. That's how MVC3 was. So maybe that's not until next year.
Next year. It's a weird. It seems like a weird year for Capcom.
I'm interested to see that they have stuff that they are working on, because before this event it was like, what are they working on? It's like, well, they got 2 Resident Evil games and they got that Devil May Cry remake, which was not there, but apparently that and the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike will be at E3, so they're just kind of holding some stuff for E3.
A lot of Street Fighter, huh? It's pretty big.
It's making money again.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fighting games are back, man.
Yeah, I guess.
MK has been like the #1 most popular game on the site off and on for like the past few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be the same problem though. It's just a bubble again.
It'll burst.
Yeah, you got too many of them. To be honest, Tekken, how big is the crossover between Street Fighter and Tekken fans?
Big enough for a game.
I know it's big enough for a game, but I just don't see that as and it's obviously it can't be like too big of a resource hog for them. They're obviously using the same engine and stuff. It looks very similar to Street Fighter 4, maybe just a little bit more pulled back. But I don't know. Tekken never grabbed me.
The obvious. I think that's a regional thing. I think Tekken does a lot better in Japan than it has done here recently. Like Tekken feels dead in the U.S. to me. And there are certainly people that are very enthusiastic about Tekken, and there is a scene around it. But as far as like mainstream success, like Tekken 6 just kind of came and went.
I feel like a Tekken Cross Virtua Fighter is
that's the game that makes more sense, like naturally. But I was pretty impressed at how the Tekken characters have been integrated into this. They felt really interesting. It felt like it was revitalizing Tekken for me in a way, because I know just enough about Tekken to be able to kind of bang out the traditional combos, and a lot of that stuff was in there. So it was exciting to see that stuff in there, as well as this kind of other kind of focus.
I really want to see the Expendables version of fighting games. Like I just want them to call it like fighting game, and it's just got everybody in it.
Yeah.
Give me Marvel characters, give me Tekken, give me Battle Arena Toshinden.
Snowman from Clay Fighter.
Yeah, give
everybody.
Throw them all in there, man. Why not?
Licensing would be awesome.
It's probably just as bad.
Yeah, Mugen.
Mugen.
Give me some Samurai Showdown guys in there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
That's a game.
I still think that the interesting game is Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. Like that's still the one, and and the thing you kind of keep hearing is like, the guys in Japan don't know what Mortal Kombat is, so they picked Tekken because they know what Tekken is. It just seems like straight up, those games never did well over there, so they're not viewed as being on the same level as Street Fighter. Whereas here, it's like,
it's
those two are
Western,
like the twin towers, the titans of the genre, for a lot of people.
But I would love to see. I would really like to see it because the art styles are so different. So I would like to see like Mortal Kombat if it were still live action stuff with like Street Fighter dudes like live actiony.
Well, did you ever play Street Fighter the movie?
Yeah.
The game?
Oh, God, yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
But better, And then seeing like the Mortal Kombat guys done real kind of like animated.
No, they do it the same way. You make your game, we'll make our game.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the Street, like taking like Sub-Zero, making him like kind of all animated out and like ready to go. inky and watery with shell skinning. What do you call it?
Skin shelling.
Skin shelling.
Yeah, it's new. It's a new concept on Giant Bomb. I don't know if you heard about it.
No, it's not.
So yeah, I don't know.
No, it's not.
It's Capcom. Still a little weird. 2011 for me. I don't know, because they had so much stuff in the last 2-3 years, and like
it feels like they're going through a big transition. I mean, the head of their company just took off relatively recently, so it's like they got that. So they got turnover. They got games coming out though, and the games look all right. So kind of see how that stuff turns out. I think the kind of core stuff that they have traditionally been good at still appears to be good, and
it's good to
they're
see
reaching
them,
out in interesting directions. So.
It's good to see them try new IP.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon's Dogma, for as dumb as the name is, and for as weird as those trailers look, I think if that game lines up just right, it'll be really cool. It has a shot anyway. So I don't know, kind of see that Hydra looked cool.
Yeah, it's like taking down griffins on their back.
Griffin Fighter.
Griffin Fighter's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing. Why don't you guys join me as we move along to the news?